Hi guys, Iryna here. I'm doing kind of like a free masterclass today. I called it Success Without Self-Sacrifice. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a psychotherapist I live in California, in San Francisco Bay Area, and I consider myself like a little bit an unconventional therapist. And that's because I use a lot of tools that may be kind of like innovative or cutting edge, if you will. Like I use ketamine-assisted psychotherapy and family constellation. So I use a lot of non-conventional methods to really bring results and be really effective as a therapist. So that's a little bit about myself. You don't know me. And so why am I here today talking to you about this success without self-sacrifice? Okay. For the most of my life, I identified as a high achiever. Type A personality. And by the way, this is what this class is for. People who are gonna resonate from this class and who really I think is gonna find value are gonna be high achievers, kind of like type A personalities, maybe a little bit perfectionistic or recovering from perfectionism. But it's a quality that I think is really beautiful. It's a quality of always growing, always improving, striving for excellence. It's that quality that makes you really good at something, right? It's like not settling for being just a mediocre therapist, like blah, blah, blah. No, like I want to be a therapist that really excels at what she does. I want to get my clients results. I want to be effective. And I want to learn and grow as much as I can so I can be that person. And that's, if you have that quality, you're really gonna resonate with my message today. It's something inside that makes you wanna grow. One of the coaches that I follow online, her name is Melanie and Lair, she talks about evolution and growth over a lifetime. So it's like always next layer, always growth, always achieving, always succeeding, right? And I'm going to talk about how this quality that is beautiful, that is amazing, but usually it gets in the way of us really then having what we want. It's a little paradoxical because it's a beautiful quality and energy, but then once it goes kind of sideways, it really can get in the way. So who is this class for? Let's be really clear. It's for high achievers, for people who want to really have a great 2025, who like ready to go, want to be successful. Maybe you have a type A personality like myself, maybe not, but there's something like I want to grow, I want to achieve, I want to succeed, right? I want to get really good at something. And maybe you have this pattern. I certainly do. And I'm going to tell you a little story about how this what I teach makes it, really embodied, because everything I talk about, I've experienced. So I'm not like a theoretical therapist who's going to tell you some success stories or how to achieve success without living through them. So everything I talk about is really embodied. So I don't know about you, but when I set goals, high goals for myself, well, this is my old pattern, right? This is what I'm going to talk about. I feel stressed, there's like overwhelm, there's pressure, and sometimes it feels like it's never enough. It's always like this pressure to do more, and then I don't feel good. It's like inside there's now no satisfaction, no happiness. Let me illustrate it with a personal story. So in 2024, my goals are really for my work is to have a thriving practice, to have a full practice, achieve a certain financial goal, so things like that. And then last summer, 2024, I was really killing it. My practice was full. I was like completely booked. I was taking people on the wait list. And then I was making how much I want to make. So I was checking all the external boxes. And I don't know if you're going to resonate from your experience when you had this external success, right? You checking all the boxes. Maybe you have the job you want, or you got the promotion, and like you finally making the money that you want, which is I was like, yeah, this is it, right? This is like what I want. And after 2 months of that, I crashed. I experienced like burnout. Like I was just like, I don't want anything. I don't want any of that. Like, make it go away. I don't want it. Because what happened? I was so focused on this external goal, external success, external check boxes of having my full practice, certain amount of people, certain amount of money, that I disconnected, or I lost that connection with my own values, my own truth, my own needs. And I went all in, focusing so much on external validation, external success, that connection, deep connection with myself, I lost it. And when we lose that deep connection with ourselves, we no longer aligned, no longer fulfilled, no longer happy, if you will. And then no amount of external success can give you that inside happiness. So sometimes we set the goals, right? And we have those goals written down. I want this, this, this. And we have this illusion that when we achieve those goals, we're going to be happy. And it's never the case. So think about, I have many examples from my life. It seems to be like my main pattern is that I have this goal. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm really gonna, achieve it. I achieved it, and then I feel like nothing, empty. Sometimes depression. I work quite a bit, work with some founders in my practice. I really love working with founders. If you're a founder, please talk to me. I love working with that population. And they tell me, like, when they achieve that exit, right? When they sell the company, when they finally there, when they have everything they ever wanted externally, that's when depression comes. That's when identity crisis comes. Then that emptiness comes, because guess what? With something inside that fulfills you, some other success that's internal, all of that external success really, it doesn't bring us what we want. So what I'm going to talk about is for reasons for that, right? Why does it happen? Why does it happen that we don't feel good? What are the causes of that? And I'm gonna give you the solution. And another way to achieve, to work, to accomplish things that also feel good inside, that also bring satisfaction, fulfillment, and happiness. Happiness is kind of like the catchword, but we'll go with that. Joy. So what happens there? What happens there? Well, that with outward success, right? I don't know if you, like, I'm a straight A student type of personality, right? So I've been really conditioned from a young age to seek that external validation, that external measurement, to rely on feeling successful. It's like I rely on something from the outside to confirm it, to the goal, right? Achieving the goal. And I don't want to throw that away completely. I think the outside measurements are good. They tell us if we're on track, right? It's like, I want to know how much, say if I have financial goals or have like a certain amount of clients in my practice goals, I still want to keep track of that. I don't want to just throw that all away and say, well, I just want to be happy. No, that's still important. It's just, if we over focus on that as an ultimate goal, rather than just a measurement on if we're on the right track, that's where things really don't work. When we make that in of itself is the ultimate goal, like that number, that thing, that promotion, for some personal goals could be like a marriage, a child, right? And then what happens when you have that? That's usually doesn't bring us the satisfaction that we think we're gonna have. So let me see. So if you really identify with that, if you like that outward success, like if you was like, if you were like me, straight A student, if you really focus on that and it's important to you, that's okay, right? That's beautiful thing, unless it takes away your joy, your ability to be present. If it becomes like stress and burnout when you go for it so much that you disconnect from yourself. So what are the symptoms of this? Like if I come up with a term and I call it, we can call it like, psychology term would be not like pathological, more like neurotic need to succeed, but we're not gonna pathologize here. I don't like the pathology term, so we're gonna call it just a suboptimal way of performing. So how do you know if you are in this pattern of suboptimal way of performing, or if you are, and I'm going to talk about another way of performing from a different place inside of you that's actually much more effective and gives you the inner satisfaction. So those two things. So how do you know? What are the symptoms? If you just reflect on yourself, like, okay, am I performing from an optimal place or suboptimal? So we're gonna call this one way of achieving and striving. That's the way I had when I crashed and last summer when I burnt out. I'm gonna call it suboptimal way of performing. So what are the symptoms of that suboptimal way of performing? Those stress and overwhelm. It's just like this constant like stress. It's your mind is racing. It's hard to focus. It's hard to sit down and really do the thing. Maybe there's a procrastination creeping in, because when we're pushing ourselves, there's always a resistance. If it's not like aligned action, there's a push from one part to achieve, to be successful, but there's always going to be a resistance. That's why it's suboptimal, because there's always going to be two forces in you. One's pushing for success and external success, and another one's resisting that. So it's kind of like I talk about hitting brake and gas and brake at the same time. One part is like, go, I wanna do this, achieve this, blah, blah, blah. And another one's like, no, it's cost me too much. I don't want that. So it could be procrastination, self-sabotage. That's a sign of misalignment and working from some suboptimal way of performing. Could be something like lack of motivation, lack of inspiration, just not having that passionate drive. That's a sign of like resistance and suboptimal way of performing. It's a burnout, right? Feeling exhausted, like, just disconnected from our needs or values, ending up in exhaustion. Exhaustion is a big problem here burnout is a big problem here in Bay Area, right? Everybody's like, crash and burn. So that's like stress, overwhelm, that mind racing, kind of like anxiety. Anxiety is a big one. Just not able to really feel good, stable, regulated nervous system. It's inside, it feels like it's just never enough. It's like you achieve one goal, there's always next one. You can't just stop by, celebrate, acknowledge yourself. It just never feels like enough. There's always next thing. And inside, you just don't experience yourself as successful. It feels like it's never enough. So that's another sign, like a symptom inside that you're not really performing from a place that's optimal. It's a lot of negative self-talk and criticism. So kind of goes with never enough, but it could be like, okay, I really didn't do a good job today. I need to do more. I really suck. I really, all that negative self-talk. So again, the symptoms of suboptimal way of performing is stress, overwhelm, burnout, feeling not good enough. You don't have satisfaction and joy in your life, and you cannot be present. There's anxiety and push and strive that makes you unable to stop, smell the flowers, be grateful. It's like this, more, push. And let me see. Yeah, and there's a over focus on external goal, over focus, like I'm always like compulsively, am I hitting my goal? Am I hitting my goal? And if not, then there's like this deep feelings of failure, like failure, deep-seated feelings of not being good enough. I'm not worthy if I'm not succeeding. You might not have awareness of those. I'm going to talk about a little bit about deeper diagnosis section, because a lot of people are not aware of that. There's a top layer of stress, overwhelm, exhaustion, that usually people, when your body starts to break down, that's when people like really notice. And most of my clients are over 35, because up until 35, we actually have natural resources, and there's enough usual energy for people who even suboptimally, they want to stop and reevaluate and change the way they're doing things, because it just works up until a certain age. But I'd say 35, 38 is when body cannot handle that amount of pressure and tension. That suboptimal way of performing creates in our system, that push and break at the same time. It's kind of like that inner struggle, and things really start to break down, right? So there could be like really the clinical depression, like people cannot get out of bed, or you have a symptom like a body, you start to get sick. That's when people are like, well, maybe like that's really awakening, or when it's a clear sign that things are not working. Sometimes there could be like a relationship crisis, or by 38, 40 we usually have kids, and that adds additional pressure. But so maybe you're so focused on achieving and thriving success that you're not creating meaningful connections, you're not paying attention to relationship side, and maybe that could be a crisis that lead people to wake up to the way they're functioning. Okay, so talked about that, the symptoms of suboptimal. Oh, by the way, if you have questions, put them in the chat if you're watching it live or after. I will answer that either right now or later on. So we'll have some time for questions. So hope I got that clear as far as symptoms and how you can recognize it in yourself. Like, okay, am I operating in the optimal way or suboptimal way? And say, if you have a vision for this year, right? Like, I want to have a really successful year. I don't know about you. And I don't want to burn out. I wanna really have a successful year that also, while I have my external success, I also feel good. That's like, I'm not willing to do it any other way, because I know the price. If you haven't paid a price yet, that's why I said like maybe up until 35, 38, it just works, and there's suboptimal way of performing, but it just works. Things don't break down yet. But later on, when you experience the price of that, that's when you're really motivated to do something about it. So let's talk about why does it happen, right? So you have the symptoms. Let's talk about why does it happen and why traditional recovery methods, or those burnout prevention methods that are really focusing on external strategy don't work. I read a lot of articles like, gotta take breaks, you gotta go outside every day, there's all this management techniques, you gotta, eat well, exercise, blah, blah, blah. Those are things that are really important, but a lot of times, even if you follow them, but you have a more deep-seated roots of the problem, they're not gonna work. You're still gonna I knew all of that, okay? So like, I've had this pattern all my life, and I knew all of that. I knew what I'm supposed to do, self-care, blah, blah, blah. Who doesn't know about self-care, right? Everybody knows about self-care, and yet it doesn't work because there are deeper roots of the problem. And the deeper roots of the problem, oh, and by the way, also, why is it suboptimal way of performing? I think I'm going to mention that in the system, there's this tension, and the tension uses up a lot of energy, and you actually don't end up with all the potential, using all the potential, all the resources, all the energy that you have when you operating in this way, because because you are acting from pain and kind of compensating for deeper things. So that's why it's suboptimal, because it just doesn't give you the access to your potential and your energy, and really a way to perform that's gonna give you better results, basically. Okay, so let's talk about the deeper diagnosis, called the deeper diagnosis, but the deeper roots of the problem, and why the external management, external prevention tips for burnout don't work. Like rest, yeah, everybody knows rest, right? If it was that simple, people wouldn't burn out. If it was just follow the protocol, exercise, eat right. No, there are deeper things going on here, and that's why knowing psychology, knowing how your psychology works, is so crucial. I really think we should teach this in schools, because just understanding how it works gives you so much advantage. This is really where it's at, I believe. So deeper roots of the suboptimal way of performing, because to be honest, like if we didn't have those deeper roots, we would all perform in an optimal way, right? In the best possible way. Let's see. Okay. Well, so the deeper roots of this way develop in childhood. And usually underneath this need to achieve, need to prove yourself, need to be successful, there are more vulnerable feelings, like feelings of not good enough. So if I already feel not good enough, I'm gonna try to compensate for that, and I'm gonna always try to give more, achieve more, succeed more, so I stop feeling this way. So that's what compensation is. It's like you have a feeling that you don't want to feel, and instead of feeling it, or it's too painful to feel it, you develop the whole system so you don't have to face it. So we call it compensation. So if I have feelings of not being good enough, something I certainly had, I'm gonna really be like, I'm gonna have all my achievements to prove that I am good enough. It's like, here, it's not true, I am good enough. That's how your psyche works, right? It's like, I don't want to feel this, and so I'm gonna prove otherwise. The problem with that is that it doesn't work, because the feeling is primary, the deep-seated feeling is primary, and it's gonna make me feel this way despite of all my achievements. So despite of everything, it's like I cannot prove that feeling wrong. That feeling is like deep-seated in me. It's translating through everything I'm doing. You can actually kind of sense that, because it's just certain tension in the system. So I'm sure you can see it. I worked at Google. There was a lot of that there. So again, not to, if it works for you, it's okay. It's just as long as you're conscious of it. But usually people have those deep-seated feelings, and they're running away from it, compensating, and by suboptimal way of performing. So it's it's feelings of unworthiness, not feeling good enough, feelings of inadequacy. So it's like needing to earn love. For somebody who's in childhood wasn't seen and acknowledged and loved for who they were, but only acknowledged and noticed and valued when they achieved something. And it starts very young, like, oh, you start walking, yay, like, and it's important to not saying to celebrate those achievements, but again, you're still good as you are, not you valued for who you are and not what you do. And so the deeper diagnosis, deeper roots are pretty simple as far as the suboptimal way of performing is really a compensation for deeper rooted feelings of unworthiness, not feeling good enough, inadequacy. And let's see. So that's why it's suboptimal, because again, it's like a cover-up. It covers up something deeper. And it takes a lot of energy to resist those feelings, of unworthiness, not good enoughness. And people like it's the hardest thing for us to feel because of what it would mean if we feel them. And what we need to understand, it's It's a feeling, it's an experience, it doesn't define who we are, and we can stop protecting ourselves from it. And when we stop protecting ourselves from it, we have so much more energy because we don't need to compensate for it. We don't need to cover them up. And the problem, again, it's like a lot of people perform in this way, and that's okay. For me, it's like the most important thing, are you conscious of it? And are you choosing this? The problem with not being conscious of it and not choosing this is that the pattern starts to control you. So say I had this, let's take my example. Last summer, I had this deep-seated pattern that I wasn't aware of, that if I don't achieve this, I'll be a failure, right? And so I achieved it. And the pattern took hold of me so much that it allowed me to burn out. And so, yeah, there's a problem because the pattern, I don't have a agency over that. I don't control it. It controls me. It becomes like an obsession, like a compulsion. It takes over. I cannot rest. I cannot like enjoy my success. I just need more, push. So that's really the price for it. And if it was working without the price, you know, that's probably, we wouldn't start wondering like, okay, what's happening here? So what's the solution? How to shift? If you listen to this and you're like, okay, I really want in 2025 to shift from suboptimal way of performing to optimal way of performing. What is optimal way of performing, by the way? So the solution. So I'll give you the solution and kind of describe what it is to feel on the other side. So when you do the deep psychological work, this is what I do, right? This is why my genius comes online. And we work together, we uncover those deeper feelings, and we heal them, not to say we fix them or we change them. We just be with them. The most important thing that you're aware of them and you can feel them without identifying and trying to change it, but really just loving yourself, loving the deep places in yourself that feel that way. Things really start to shift. And that's exactly the solution when you do this deep psychological work and healing. You really reconnect with who you really are. So underneath this protective mechanism and compensation of pushing, striving, needing to achieve, needing to be successful, there's a layer of very uncomfortable, very painful feelings that I help people connect to and be with and love themselves through them. And underneath that is who you really are, your joy, your passion, your curiosity. That's the treasure. That's the like ultimate treasure that we're going through all this uncomfortable work, all this deep healing to get to this place where we reconnected with who we really are. It's your natural state of being. It's joy, it's curiosity. You start acting and achieving, performing from a place of playfulness, curiosity, aliveness, passion. Motivation becomes like, wow, I get really excited to wake up and do this today. There's no tension in the system. You're aligned. There's no resistance, and everything kind of flows inside. There's more energy available. There's a aliveness. You can be present in your life. Your mind is not racing. You can be grateful. You can stop by and smell the flowers when you're not working. Or you can, take a break and really take in and enjoy the nourishment from the break. And be available for deep connection with your family, with your friends, with your children. You're not obsessed with, your work or your projects. It's just that there's like a lively balance in your life where it feels good. And I've experienced it both ways. And let me tell you, like, there's no way I'm going back to that one. I don't deny that it's still there might be another layer. Maybe it's still gonna get a grab of me this year. I don't know. But my intention is to stay conscious of if it happens, and if it's still like this need and pressure, I can be conscious and I can do the work that I talked to you about, do my own, do what I preach, and come back to the different place. And I know how it feels now. Once you know how it feels, it's just so natural for you to be there, because again, that's who you really are. And then you can celebrate even for little things, and you feel the sense of satisfaction and enoughness and fullness, because that's your true state, true nature. But again, it's here, and there's a couple layers to get to. And usually people start with the first one: stress, overwhelm, burnout, pushing, critical self-talk. And then there's the deeper layer that I talked to you about. And if you just did, I saw a couple people joining, and if you want to rewatch it and the whole thing, I kind of talk about it in this live, of basically how to get to this optimal way of being and performing. And the thing is, people usually, sometimes there's like a resistance to let go of that old way of what I call suboptimal way of performing, because they're like, well, what if I become lazy? What if I motivate myself through self-negative talk, through this pressure, through this shooting from this, kind of like, not like, but the strict way of like achieving, I'm just going to be lazy. That's the common fear that comes up. Like, oh, I'm going to be lazy. I'm not going to achieve things. I'm not going to be successful. And then, I understand the fear, but it's also, it's not true. I guess you'll have to trust me or someone who's done with the work, because on the other side, there's a natural curiosity, natural thirst for growth and expansion and evolution. And it just feels different to be from acting and achieving and performing from this place versus the other one. So let's just, so we can spend some time on really self-reflection. If you in a place to do that, that's a good time to do that. Really just think of, you have a pen and paper, you can write it down. What are your goals for this year? Let's start with external goals. You can put them in the chat too. I can share mine. Well, I'm not gonna share the specifics, but I want to have a successful practice. I want to have a couple projects that go well and receive, and just valuable for people. Like, I want to create value for people. And I have a certain financial goal as well. So those are more external goals. So you can think about your own, like, oh, what would like make 2025 like a great year? For me, I have a financial goal I want to achieve. And create value. Certainly I feel like I'm creating value for people. Maybe a certain amount of clients a month. So those are external goals, right? And then you think like, okay, well, so if I have these external goals, but I feel like crap, I feel, anxious and depressed, or like I don't feel good, is it still something that I want? And, there's no right answer. So there's only the answer for you. And maybe sometimes the answer is yes, yeah. Like, I just want to have it. Like, I don't care how I feel. I just want to have it. And that's valid. I know for me, I'm not willing to have it without deeper alignment and feeling in a different way. So for me, those external goals need to be also coupled with me feeling really nourished and excited and connected with my husband and my family. So they need to, like, that's the success. That's the feeling of success that I have, that it's not only this external thing that I have, I still want, but also this deeper alignment and feelings of aliveness, presence, calm, connection. So write those down. What are some internal goals you have? Internal states, your values that you really want to couple with the external goals. I want to achieve my financial goals while feeling. And if you, so write it down. And if you find yourself in the pattern that you cannot get out of, if you listen to this live really resonating and you find yourself in the pattern that you feel like you cannot get out of, you know there's a deeper work, or you're wondering, that I invite you to, for new clients who now work with me, I invite you to drop a link and you can schedule a complimentary call with me, and we can look together whether or not you have a suboptimal way of performing or optimal way of performing. We can create a plan for you to get to the other side. And maybe you're wondering, like, you listen to the slide. So listen to this live before doing that. But if what I talk about here makes sense and you want to go deeper, I'm inviting you to do that with me. And so maybe you listen to this and you're like, yeah, I'm kind of stressed, and but I don't feel like I have those deeper feelings. We can explore together. We can talk personally, and we can really apply this, make it something really applicable to your life. Any questions? Some people are gonna watch in recording, so if you're watching a recording of this, feel free to leave me a note or leave me a question. Especially, I really wanna, if you're okay giving me feedback of if it was clear for you to how this works, the top layer problem that a lot of people have, and just stress, anxiety, overwhelm, burnout, right? And then deeper diagnosis that I talked about, and the solution. I want to get really clear on that path for people so they know there's a way. There's a way to do this differently in a way that feels actually really good. And you don't need to sacrifice one thing or the other. You can actually have both. And when you are in this deep rooted state of your natural state of being, connected to those natural qualities, you can still achieve, you can still be successful, but it's just going to feel different and more satisfying and nourishing and calm. Okay, I'm gonna end here. Thank you so much for watching. Still looking forward to hearing from you. What are you taking away from this? My main takeaway is that no matter, I'm so like deeply rooted at this now, and in my own body, is that I'm just not willing have the external success. Yeah, and I'm not willing to have the external success without deeper alignment. I'm not gonna do that. And who knows, maybe at the end of the year I'll do in that life, I'm like, I did it again, and that's okay. But that's my intention for this year. I want to feel good, and that's what my main focus is. And from this place of feeling good, I want to achieve good things for my business and grow my business. I'm amazing. I feel really good doing this live, actually, and I was super nervous before doing it, and I went to my husband like 5 minutes before, and I was like freaking out. I was like, I don't want to do this. But I think I went through this whole process that I talked to you about, from this top layer of needing this external success to working on myself and my own deeper rooted feelings of unworthiness, never good enoughness. And I just feel like I come to a place where it's very clear, it's very, very calm. There's still excitement, there's still fear, but it's like, it's playful. I do this live, I connect to some people. Maybe some people come talk to me after, maybe not. I don't know. It's not the point. The point is that I showed up. I feel good. This was fun. I got to teach something I'm passionate about, and this is exactly the vibe for this year. It's all playful. It's no failure, success. It's just all unfolding process of evolution and growth over a lifetime. So that's what I'm wishing for you for this year. And again, I'll drop the link to schedule the call with me if you feel called. I would love to go deeper with some of you there. So I'm gonna leave it after the live, but for now, have a good Friday. Bye.